details of an agreement that will see the season played in full. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. We have a developing story we want to get to first. Denver's DA will drop the charges against an unlicensed security guard accused of killing a man during a rally in 2020.
Denver 7's Jason Grenauer is in our newsroom with details, and Jason, Matthew Doloff's murder trial was set to start next month.
And now the case against Matthew Doloff will be dismissed, according to the Denver District Attorney's Office. Now, Doloff was working as a private security guard contracted by 9 News during competing political rallies back in October of 2020. There was a skirmish, and he shot and killed Lee Keltner, who was part of one of those protests. Now, Doloff was charged with second-degree murder. Doloff's attorney had maintained his client acted in self-defense. And now, a month before he was set to go to trial, the Denver DA's office confirms it plans to dismiss this case. Now, this afternoon, the DA's office says that they informed Lee Keltner's family. Doloff is scheduled to be in court March 21st. The dismissal could come then. Doloff's attorney and the DA's office declined our requests for interviews. Now, we do have a full write-up on today's developments and a full recap of all of the events that have happened and gone on since that shooting. That's up right now on thedenverchannel.com. Live in the newsroom, I'm Jason Grenauer, Denver 7.
Jason, thank you. All right, also tonight, cheers all around. The baseball lockout is officially over.
MLB and the Players Union have finally reached an agreement that ends this 99-day lockout.
Spring training will begin a week from today. The 162-game season will now officially begin on April 7th. And there's a lot in this official agreement, but here are some of the highlights. It includes raising the minimum salary for players. Also, the postseason is being expanded to 12 teams, and the National League will adopt the designated hitter rule. Player uniforms will also now feature advertising. That's for the first time on both jerseys and batting helmets.
And with this new opening day, the Rockies' home opener is now Friday, April 8th against the Dodgers. No word yet if that'll be a day or a night game. MLB players can report to spring training tomorrow.
That's how excited you are. You know, we might be out of the weather action day, but it certainly was cold this morning. Yeah, making it the coldest morning in a long time. Here's Mike Nelson.
Below zero, coldest March morning since 1960. And temperatures are going to be cold again tonight, but at least not that cold. 7 below zero was the low in Denver, as we had some clearing that came into the Denver area early in the morning and brought us the really cold temperatures. Otherwise, it would have been more like zero. -3 at Sterling early this morning as well. And right now, we're only at 18. And if you combine the wind, that's a good thing it's not any more wind than we have. The wind chill is 11 degrees. The skies have cleared out here, but there's still some snow down over southern Colorado. Not much around here. A few flurries do linger up into the mountains. We'll take you up to Loveland Ski Area. You can see that from the top of Chair 9, right up on the top of the divide. In the Denver area, it's a different story. Our skies are clear. But with the snow cover, that means another cold night coming up. So slick streets and sidewalks, pretty likely, and the main roads are in good shape. Melting starts tomorrow, warmer weather over the weekend. We have some 60s coming up in the 7-day.
It's getting better. All right, thank you, Mike. So on this freezing cold morning, though, a widow in Denver was stuck in a freezing cold home.
And has had no running water now for nearly a month. So she reached out to contact Denver 7. She's telling her story to Ivan Rodriguez.
11 years ago, one Broomfield woman tells me she received an $8,000 water bill because of a leak in her line she never even knew about. Now the Water Association is demanding payment in full and has cut water off to her home.
It's extremely cold.
In just 1 month, Judy Loper's life has taken a drastic turn.
I bought 2 radiant heaters from Walmart, and they have been heating, and I've shut down 2 bedrooms. And I use the bathroom, my kitchen here, and my living room.
Also, she can stay warm since her water was shut off to her home and she hasn't been able to use her boiler.
I joined Thornton, the rec center, up here on Holly. That's where I go to shower.
Loper says this story begins 11 years ago when they had a leak in the pipe to their home, and the only person who knew about it is the man who manages the community's well.
He read the meter and knew there was a leak and never told us.
Loper says her husband fixed the line within 24 hours, but by then, the price was astronomical.
The bill was about $8,000.
They appealed the decision, and Loper says they would occasionally receive an invoice for the $8,000. It wasn't until last month her water was unexpectedly cut off.
And this was February 8th. Bruce, I have left you messages and contacted Renee, and she's our accountant, on several occasions since Sunday that we do not have water. Bruce wrote back, this is demand for payment. Your account with North Washington Water User Association is severely past due. And that's correct. You know, it's 2011.
Loper says her attempts to negotiate the price or payments haven't been answered.
I need an advocate. I need help.
So we decided to give the North Washington Water Users Association a call.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Like Loper, we haven't heard back either. She's also having to let go of her horses since she can no longer care for them.
Devastated.
Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
And we will be sure to let you know if the Water Association gets back with us and when Judy gets her water turned back on. And if you ever have an issue Contact 7 should look into, just email us at contact7@thedenverchannel.com.
A 16-year-old was shot and killed at a hotel in Aurora last night. 4 others were injured. This was the Quality Inn on North Ouray, just south of I-70. Police have 4 people in custody at this hour, all 4 being held for first-degree murder.
And Commerce City police are searching for this woman who they say shot another woman during an apparent act of road rage. The victim, who was taken to the hospital, was found in an alley near Kearney Middle School off Highway 36. Police say the women crashed into one another, both got out of their cars, and police say 24-year-old Destiny Edwards then shot the other woman. Edwards is still on the run tonight, and she is now wanted for attempted murder.
Ukrainian officials now say a Russian airstrike on a children's hospital and maternity ward killed 3 people, including a child, and 17 others were hurt. Now, Russia's foreign minister earlier confirmed his military was responsible for this attack, but claimed it was really the hospital, a base for Ukrainian radicals. But then hours later, Russia's defense minister said Russian troops were not responsible. Now, back in the U.S., Congress has approved a spending bill that includes nearly $14 billion in humanitarian aid for Ukraine. Meanwhile, the White House still discouraging Poland from sharing fighter jets with Ukraine, saying that is how to prevent a world war.
3 people found dead in a Cortez motel room likely died from drug use. This is according to the coroner's office. It is unclear what drugs were used, but police did find fentanyl, and they say counterfeit OxyContin had been showing up in southwest Colorado as of late. Now, just last month, 5 people died in Commerce City after using cocaine laced with fentanyl, and police vowed to pursue the people who sold them the drugs. So far, though, no arrests have been made. In Washington, D.C., calls are growing for the federal government to do more to address this surge in fentanyl poisoning.
Many of the calls are coming from parents who only realize the scale of this crisis after it was too late. Here's Joe St. George.
This is Parker Rodenbaugh.
All different names.
Peyton Presley Moore.
All
19 years old.
different ages.
He was 35 years old.
One similar story.
Pure grief. Pure pain.
That no mother should tell. Janice Berlin lost 2 of her boys.
It never goes away.
What is this grief? It's the effect of fentanyl, and each one of these young men died from it.
The drug dealers don't care.
Each one of these moms
Just happened in December.
now finding a way to keep living.
Had never heard of fentanyl.
What is fentanyl? It is classified as a synthetic opioid by the DEA and is produced in a lab. It's 100 times more potent than morphine, and while doctors use it in hospitals to manage pains or even sedate someone in ICU, because it's cheap to produce, more drug dealers are using it too. It creates a stronger high, a quicker addiction.
It's very cheap.
Cordy Rodenbaugh has been traveling the country ever since she lost her son, trying to get more people to pay attention.
It only takes a tiny grain to get you addicted. So they're putting it in Percocet, Xanax, anything they can.
And that's the point.
He was just wanting to have fun.
April Brown wants to get across to you parents. Talk to your kids. She says her son wasn't an addict or sought out fentanyl. He was a couple months into college and decided to take a Percocet at a party. It was laced with fentanyl. He died within hours.
You know, I experimented in college with certain things. I'm not ashamed to say that. I didn't have to worry about dying taking a pill.
Across the country last year, over 104,000 Americans died from an overdose. That's a record, and synthetic opioids like fentanyl are contributing the most to the spike. Those numbers attracting attention in Washington. President Biden pledging to spend over $23 billion this year
to fight drug abuse.
The money would be used for treatment centers and to better prevent fentanyl from being sold on the streets.
Something's got to be done.
In short, this group just hopes the country starts waking up. And while they believe President Biden's bipartisan plan is a start, more must be done. They'd like to see stricter penalties for those who deal drugs and more help for Border Patrol since they're seizing record amounts of fentanyl.
Don't say it won't be my child. It might be.
In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
And in Colorado, more than 1,600 people died from drug overdose last year, and nearly half of those involved fentanyl.
The ER doctor was like, I don't know how to tell you this.
A heartbreaking diagnosis for two Denver parents.
They were like, hi, you have cancer.
How you can help them enjoy every moment they have with their 5-year-old son to the fullest.
I just want more time. I want to enjoy the time that I have.
And Rage Against the Machine.
This was about drawing a line in the sand.
Redbox is ditching high-tech scanners after getting pushback from artists.
People shouldn't have to be worried about having that kind of data collected about them when they go to a concert.